Bro, that dab was amazing.
Yeah.
That was fire. Strawberry jam by Cannabis Company.
Yeah, man.
My goodness, out of the glass too. How do you feel? How's that tasting, bro?
It was lovely. You know,
Yeah.
it's exactly what I wanted.
Uh-huh.
It's like a goddamn smoothie in my mouth, really.
Trust me.
Delicious.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, of course. So it's like having a nice bottle of wine, you know.
Yeah.
Good people come over, you crack it out, you know, sip on it a little bit, talk some stuff.
Yeah.
That's the vibe, you know.
It's the whole process, you know, just getting the smell out of the bag and opening it up, and it's all about like the experience. So it's not about getting high or getting to the dab, you know. It's all about the things that you have to do to get there first.
Exactly.
And that's where all the conversations and the memories happen, man.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's a moment, you know. That's why I think you're taking that in, you know, just appreciating that time, because sometimes I like to think of certain moments like there's never ever gonna be a moment like that, you know. Even if we chill again, get together, try some of the same stuff, it's never gonna be like this moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, you take that in and learn to appreciate that, right?
Yeah, bro, I totally agree. I think even with you, like being in the culinary field, that's what you do. You welcome people by doing that for them, you know.
Sure,
and that goes in a big part of it, and it ties in with what you did for us today. Welcome into your house. You made us food.
Sure,
You gave us some dabs, and it's got us feeling great.
Yeah, man.
Good, man. No, that's that's the setup, right? And I said, I don't do that with anybody. You know, I would consider myself I don't say like a loner, but I'm very much in my own field, my own craft. You know what I mean? I stand alone, and it's nice to be able to connect with people who are on that same mindset. You know, I was just saying to my brother, like, this is our second time getting together and kind of like chilling, but like the vibe was right. You know, the support was there from the very beginning, and like that's like how I show my appreciation. It's like, I'm a cook for you. Like, of course, you can order pizza, go to McDonald's, get Subway, but like to take the time, and I obviously didn't like cook chicken from scratch right away today for you, but you know what I mean? But that's like my family recipe, and like ask anybody who's been in my house. This is like proper. Only special people get that sort of vibe. So yeah, it's real thing. It's family stuff. Right?
Yeah, man, that's special, bro. It makes us feel real good, man. Appreciate you,
for sure.
especially after the second time. Like you reaching out to us that first time and showing love to what we do, and us reciprocating that, and then like us coming out to the dinner. That was a special moment, and being able to do that now, especially in the cannabis field in this industry, is just great.
For sure. Absolutely. I don't think it happens as often as we think it does, and the way it does, you know what I mean? Not as natural. There are some people that just like vibe, but I find that there's a lot of fakeness too in this industry, where it's like, hey, yeah, come to my party. Yeah, look, I got the best weed ever. It's a lot of like flashy shit, and I smell shit from far away, excuse my French, but like I smell bullshit. So I'm not like against like people who are trying to like put up a facade, but I really just, I know genuine stuff. You know what I'm saying? You're not saying real recognizes real. That's a real thing. You know, I'm like, you know, right off the bat who your people are. And that in this industry, as much as I want it to be like, yeah, we all smoke weed and we're all good. Like we're all peaceful, but doesn't mean we're all like kind to each other. There's a lot of like cutthroat stuff. There's a lot of negative stuff happening in our industry, which I don't think is always addressed. People kind of just like pivot and move on to the next thing. Like as Scott said, it's like, you know, high fashion. It's just like, oh yeah, that's yesterday's news. We're moving on to this. But like, nah, I'm like an elephant. I don't forget stuff. So, you know.
That's what's up, bro. Yeah, like I always say too, like it's easy to recognize when somebody's being fake and when people are genuine. So and like the fact that we're here sitting together, we all feel the same way about each other. So that's just great, man. And that's what I think the great thing about the plant is, you know, it's like being able to connect us in such a way that it brings like people together. And even if you don't like have similarities or things that you enjoy that are the same, the plant allows you to bond.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. It's it is a very I don't know, I think of it like the plant already bonds with us. You know what I'm saying? Like the plant grows to appeal to humans so that we cultivate it more. And it's kind of like we kind of pass that energy on, right? Like we bring together good stuff to bring other people and good vibes together, right? There's negative energy, and general negative energy finds negative energy, but good energy also finds good energy. I think it's just important to call that energy what it is. We shouldn't just always be like, oh, well, just accept it because, oh, it's cannabis, so let's just pass it off. No, I think we need to address those things and be like, no, we shouldn't be doing this. We should be talking about this. We're stronger together than we are separate. So I don't really understand the whole idea of where people aren't trying to really bring that real unity. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just capitalizing off of it. Like 420 this year, for example, I instantly thought it had this like fake feel, like Valentine's Day, like where you could just go to the store and pick up like a 420 card and give it to your grandma or whatever. Some things just didn't feel real. People were just like, hey, it's 420. We have a 420 deal. Come get stuff for 420. But I'm like, how much are you really supporting the culture and the people and these podcasts and these, these events that are happening? If you're not doing that, then that's kind of like, that's fake.
Get tricky, gotta steal your toes. Guys, thank you so much for tuning back into another installation of the Touch of Love Cannabis podcast. We are OT today. We have Justin with us from HighR Learning. How's it going, man?
Good, brothers. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. We're loving it out here. It's a little bit of a rainy day, but it's cozy in here. We got a lot of plants surrounding us. You know the vibes. Staying green, staying positive, staying healthy. Harm, what are you saying?
I'm chilling, man. Feeling great.
Yeah.
On a wave.
Yeah. Let's go, guys. We know Justin through Instagram, I guess, and then we came to an infused dinner a little bit ago at the same venue actually, and it was just a marvelous experience. And some of the best food and infused cannabis product I've ever had in my life. So thank you so much for that, man.
Wes, I appreciate y'all coming through. You guys were definitely some of the first to sign up and get involved and be interested. So we were super thankful about that. I want to make sure you had a super enjoyable experience. I want a big shout out to 10C Shared Space, downtown Guelph, Nathan, all the staff and volunteers that work here. As soon as I wanted to have a dinner, I was looking for venues, and people are all sometimes a little uneasy when it comes to cannabis, like they don't know much about it and how it all goes. But everybody here was very supportive, welcoming. I am a member of this shared space. It is a beautiful community center where a bunch of different people of all walks of life get to come here and have like office space and a lot of great events and art shows to happen here. And they have a beautiful kitchen, and I just knew that was the vibe. If I'm going to bring together some of the best in the industry, we need to be in the most like a good spot, not just anywhere, not a basement. I've hosted this out of my home before, but I just wanted to be right. We're right across the street from the mayor's office. Like that's iconic. You know what I'm saying? Like to be able to do that, that's iconic. So yeah, I definitely appreciate you coming. And everybody else who came through. Our International Women's Day dinner was great. It was a fantastic time. So,
shout out to all the women that did the panel too. You guys are some figures in the industry for sure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that panel was really special to me because all those women in their own way, Amy Brown, we have Tamara, Queen, Aika, so many people, Desiree, they were all, and Rena, like they're all so powerful in their own spaces. To bring them together to me was like female Avengers, not even female Avengers, the Avengers. Like they all were just powerful, and it was like, okay, if I want to bring other people to come listen and understand, like I could talk cannabis and shop all day with people, but it's different hearing certain information from different people, like especially a woman, sometimes a woman just knows how to deliver facts, like better than anybody else. And for me, that was like those powerhouses. I was honored to even have them in the space. So yeah, shout out to all of them. And
Shout out to all them. Shout out to 10C. We really appreciate you guys letting us host this here.
Absolutely.
And you, like, I guess, being who you are and them being okay with cannabis related events being hosted here. It's just opening up doors, bro. Like you're really doing something proper for the industry, man.
Absolutely. Thank you. I something about opening doors, you know. Growing up, I've had so many things, so many doors locked and closed to me. And I was just like, I'm not about that. Like even if it's not for me, you got to open up for other people. Right. And I think it's helping each other. We got to build off of each other. And, you know, it does take some work to do that. You don't just get to open these doors right away. It does take some time, but after a while, right? Like sometimes, you know, you knock at a door and try to get them to open it for you. If they don't, then you're kind of like banging a little bit harder, you know. And eventually, you know, like Pac said, you come in, you know, I'm picking the lock, coming through the doors, you know, sort of vibe. Like that's that sort of energy I definitely bring to this. It's more of like, okay, well, I'm going to make this happen. So I did my best to go and get credentials and, you know, information and learn from who I could. So I did this properly. And it wasn't just like, yeah, man, like I watched a couple YouTube videos. Like I got this. Like I can cook whatever, you know. It wasn't like that. Like it's work, you know. You put in that work to do that. So
real, man. That's what's up. So why cannabis? What is it about cannabis for you, man?
I'd say for me, ultimately for me, it's helping people. You know, like I do enjoy consuming it myself recreationally, you know, for health reasons, all that stuff. But I'd say my true journey started when my grandfather finished chemotherapy. And he wanted relief from his pain and all that stuff, but like couldn't smoke. And so I was like, okay, well, let's just try to make you edibles. And you know what? They helped. They helped relieve him of that stress. And then after time, I had more and more people coming to me being like, yo, my grandma, you know, my grandfather, or whatever, my aunt and uncle, like, do you think you can make something for them? And I started doing that for people. And a lot of people who were like terminally ill, like on their way out. And it was just a way to relax. I saw that change and how much that made a difference in their lives. I was like, this is like being a doctor without doing the schooling. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I'm helping people and I love that. Shout out to all our doctors and nurses. But like I was helping be a part of that, you know, that journey for them, helping them just be comfortable. And yeah, you can't put a price on that. Like to know you're helping somebody that way, man, that's priceless. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was a big deal for me. So yeah,
that's dope. It's all about helping people for sure.
Yeah, man.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Even our positions, like Parham being a bud tender, like his job is to help people understand the products and be the first line of action. And you know, a touch of love as well. Like that's what we plan. We try to teach people and learn about the plant. So it's all about learning for sure. Wow, episode 9.
Goddamn,
that's crazy. We're getting there, man. We're getting up. I remember when we started off with our like 9th review too. We were on YouTube for like our first like 9 reviews, and then we moved to Instagram. And ever since Instagram, we're up to 58 reviews now.
Good for you. That's solid. This is like, I want to call it a cultural phenomenon. One of those like good things, a good vibe. As soon as I saw this, I was like, this is dope. I like how you guys do it. It's very consistent. I like the rawness of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when you're in the car. I like that like little light, you know what I'm saying? Like it just like sets a vibe. And it's also similar. You think about like Be Real and stuff like that. Those guys still sit in the car and smoke weed, right? So it is a good setting, and just what y'all are doing is very, I think, unique, and your energy too. So that's why I'm like, man, it's an honor to be on here. Like anybody should be happy to get involved, because I see this going like big ways, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't know if Diddy's gonna call you and give you that Ciroc deal, you know what I mean? But this is like, in my opinion, this is like our modern day like drink champs. So it's a big deal, right?
Man.
So again, man, solid. So appreciate you.
Much love, man. So what were your earlier jobs like, Jay? What did you do before you got into this?
Bro, I've done everything. My first job ever, first legal job, I guess, would be like KFC.
Okay.
I worked at the KFC that used to be up on Scottsdale, and I was a cashier, man. Like it
that
was a
high
solid
school?
job. Yeah, high school. Like
Okay.
it was solid. It was when I first moved to Guelph too, and it was great, man. Like because KFC, I can't speak for other like fast food spots, but like KFC, it's real chicken. Like it's not frozen. Like it comes in from like Maple Lodge, like any other person would get their chicken, and you still gotta like fry and cook it. And there was just like a routine to doing all that stuff. And my managers saw like amazing. Shout out to Margaret and Barb, but they were just on the ball and like keeping a good regimen, like a good system. And I learned to like upsell there, upselling fries for $1, I mean, not a big deal, but like learn to hustle like that because I get my name on the wall star. Like I took that very seriously. So like I'm gonna upsell more than you today. I'm selling more fries and gravy than anybody in this spot. Like I make connections with like the Guelph, some of the basketball team, people in the mall. They would anytime they needed chicken, they come see me at the spot. I kept people alive. And
You've been a chef from the early days, man.
Yeah, man, definitely been cooking for some time. And yeah, that kind of just like set me up for good values working. Both my parents are Jamaican and they're hard school workers. They work hard and they definitely instilled that in me. So I never quit anything. Even if I don't like it, I may not love it, but I don't quit. You know what I'm saying? So from then on, I've done so much. I got to work at a bakery. I worked at a digital printing shop. I did a bunch of different things trying to find where I belonged, that energy, something I would wake up every day and I loved doing, I got to work at this beautiful arts and crafts store where they travel around the world and bring back pots and all this decorative stuff, teak wood tables and chairs, and I'd have to clean that up and move it. Teak wood is heavy AF, by the way. But I got to work like an Indonesian man, and all this really great, valuable stuff I just picked up over the way. So I've done almost everything, if you will. A lot of customer service again, but my go-to was like if things got rough and I didn't want to like really go to a factory or whatever, I would always go to a kitchen and just work in there, man, because it was comfortable, having those, working with good chefs, not always all the time, but at least you're always around food, so you never get hungry, right? You get to take stuff home. You generally meet good people. It was just a vibe. So yeah, always ended up back there.
Dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. And then eventually legalization came around, and that Tokyo was kind of your first introduction into cannabis, yeah?
Not actually.
No?
I applied to be into the industry like back before Doug Ford got into play, like where they were gonna make it more open, the industry more open, so anybody could open a store. I applied for, and it was gonna be like the LCBO sort of vibe, and I went through their vigorous interview process. I got through, it was great, but then Doug Ford came into power and switched it all up. So that messed it up. But what I ended up doing is I still wanted to keep my, my grades up, like my smarts up. So I went and did a cannabis sommelier course with Canna Reps. Julie and the team over there, fantastic. It was a great experience. It was super new. But before I got to work in a store, I wanted to actually know what I was doing. And it was a great experience because they didn't just say, oh, this was made by Tweed, this was made by whoever. They showed you, gave you the understanding of cannabis history, where it came from, and they taught you to train your nose, to know what a haze was, what was more of like a kush, what had more Afghani traits, right? That set things up and changed my mind, help you understand terpenes. Because right then I was able to understand like, oh, I actually don't like Afghans as much as I thought I did. The smell of it. I love how big they get, and like big nugs. I like a big nug. I cannot lie, but I learned like, oh, I don't actually love that, but hazes are my go-to. So that experience, that sommelier course was fantastic, and it was new. Not a lot of people had done it at that time. It was definitely one of the first Black people to ever take that course.
Oh,
and yeah, from there, I was like, okay, what do I want to do with that? I waited and then found out they were opening stores. There was only a few Pioneer stores opening up at the time. So I luckily got in with Brampton's Ganja House. They were one of the first.
On Queen.
Yeah, and I was one of 2 senior bartenders because I knew what I was talking about. But like a lot of people didn't know. And those early days, it was like even earlier in Tokyo, this was like the wild, wild west, man. Like we had 3 tables set up. We had a senior bartender like myself, somebody who knew like what they were doing in the middle, and somebody who basically didn't know what they were doing at the front. And then you're just funneling people in, and then they come up and they just tell you what they want, and then you basically send them to the front. But it was so many people that it was like an 8-hour shift of just like talking and like, yeah, this is this. Yeah, this is this. It was great experience, I think, for the time, because you could just suggest something. Like if you got lazy, you could be like, oh yeah, take this all day to get rid of it until it's gone. But I took it as an opportunity to be like, oh, you don't like that? Well, I'll give you this. I would have like, say, 3 different premium options, 3 different middle options, and then 3 cheaper but affordable options for you and for the guests, right, to help them. And that was good, you know, because you got to meet a lot of people who were legacy people who were like, again, I've been doing this longer than you, but I earn their respect because I would say, okay, this one's familiar, or this one has good terps, or this one would be very helpful with it, you know, whatever you might be looking for. And yeah, that was super, super great. But because it was so far away from Guelph in that sense, they were doing like 12-hour shifts, I believe they switched to. Wow. Which
I remember going there in the early days.
Yeah, and that's a long shift.
Yeah, it was like that. It was like there was like different, like people like would pretty much walk around with tablets.
Yeah,
and then they'd go to like a person, and then they'd tell you what you want, and then you go up to the counter and get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hella different.
And it definitely different, especially if you don't know what you're doing, right? But in those times, like, I'm buying as much as I can so I can try it. That's how are you going to tell somebody how it is if you've never seen it, smelled it, smoked it, busted it up? You can't give that sort of feedback. So I think that's where we excelled, is that there wasn't as many options as there is now. Like you're lucky if you had like 15 of anything, you know, you know. But it was again super great experience. We had a decent team, but then from there I needed something closer to home, and then I found out that Tokyo Smoke was opening up. There was a Spirit Leaf in Guelph too, but just with what I wanted to do and where I was trying to go, I was like not feeling it. I did that interview process with Scott, and that team at Tokyo Smoke was the best team ever.
Dream team
ever. That was the dream team. I don't care. Fight me on it. Let me put that out there. Tokyo Smoke, Cambridge, we had every corner crossed. Like every type of person, every walk of life could walk in there and connect with somebody. No matter your age, you know, orientation, like religious background, none of that stuff. And the fact that we were able to bring all those people together was so unique. Like, you never see people like that other than like maybe the bank. That's the only time you'll ever see like that sort of group of people, right? But we had it on lockdown, and we were making money, like serious money. And at the time it wasn't about the money. It was just like that flow of like, yo, I don't know about this, but you know, my boy Parm, he's got it. He knows what's going on over there. Shan, okay, yeah, send you over there. Send this person to me. It was just a beautiful dance of everybody being in sync. And if you didn't know something, you learned. You would listen to somebody. That's the beautiful thing, is that we all did. I knew about cannabis, but I may not know about glass. I may not know about vaping. But you listen to each other and you feed off that energy, and they killed it. Like we'll never see numbers like that in the store again. Like how much you would make in those times, you'll never see numbers like that again. And it's because of stores like that everybody wanted to have their own cannabis store, being like, whoa, you can make that type of money?
Yeah.
Nah, bro. Like legally.
Oversaturated now.
Yeah, now it's oversaturated for sure. But yeah. So yeah, then Tokyo Smoke, beautiful place. Unfortunately, just with the type of space it was, as you know, the market got bigger. And at least for myself, I couldn't grow there. It was, you know, I don't want to be a bud tender the whole time.
There's definitely a ceiling when you work at a dispensary, right?
Yeah, and that was it for me. It's like, again, I already came in having a lot of knowledge about the plant and doing stuff that it was like, okay, like I know I'm good on the floor, but I don't want to be on the floor. So from there, I ended up going to Kitchener. I helped open up Suite 7 in Kitchener, and that was a super great spot. They kind of went off the whole like 7 senses.
Okay.
And that was kind of hard at times too, because we had to find like different cultivars with different different terpenes to like fit in that category. And yeah, it was another unique spot, super great. But what I learned from a lot of these experiences, like a lot of people don't know about cannabis. You know what I'm saying? These people who are opening stores, I got to help open up like even Ronin Guelph. Like a lot of these people don't know anything about cannabis, which blows my mind. And that's why I'm like, oh, it's about the money. And for me, that doesn't mix, because if I come in and I come into a lot of these stores like full hearted, like with my heart, but it's like I'm putting my whole energy and my soul into this, right? I'm staying late, make sure the customers are happy, we're doing numbers, ordering the right product. You're giving your life to these stores, and that's tough when they're like, yeah, like, well, we just want to order shred because that's what the customer's asking for, or we just want to order something from, say, Tweed because that's what, or this, well, these guys have the highest THC, so we want to order it. And it's like, oh, cool. Well, you don't know what you're talking about, but that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. I get it. It's not my money. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to sweat somebody wanting to order those things. Mm-hmm. But if I'm coming in with the realness. Like I said, I'm coming in, I'm trying to make you succeed. Do you want to be here for 2 years or 20? Mm-hmm. That's the reality of it. So if you're just in here to like sell yourself, then all right, cool. Then I personally don't want to be a part of it. So yeah, kind of learn that.
So would you say that like that Tokyo Smoke that opened up, how long were you working at Ganjka before that?
Maybe a few months. Yeah, it was super, super fresh.
Because they were like the earliest stores, right?
Yeah, so like again, pioneer. So I know people who were coming from Guelph to come to Ganjka House because they're like, it's either I go to Hamilton or London or Toronto. So, and then Mississauga opted out. I'm so glad Mississauga opted in finally. Good on them. You're unfortunately 4 years late on the game. You missed out on a lot of money, but respectively, welcome. But yeah, because they opted out, Brampton and those areas just like raked in the dough.
Yeah.
And that for me is like, again, I understand you want to see people win, but it would be better. There's so much money that we can all eat. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't need to be where one person goes, because then they try to monopolize things. They do it their own way, and then it changes stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
I think the first dispensary in Orange was making like 40 some K a week.
Yeah.
Some craziness like that.
Yeah, man. See, and like I'm not allowed to talk about numbers, but in some of these places, I remember on a slow day, you're doing 20 to 30. On a busy day, you're doing like around 70 a day.
That's mad.
That's illegal drug money. You know what I'm saying?
Illegal drug people don't even make that money.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, how do I get involved, right? So knowing that and seeing that, that's why I watch how people move. You know what I'm saying? Like some people are really good at trusting their teams and really trying to build and create something. Like I personally can't say I'm a big Tokyo Smoke. Like I won't shop at Tokyo Smoke anywhere else in the world. Cambridge is my spot. Shout out to Glenn, the manager there. Shout out to Ralph. He's the owner. He was a different owner because he may not known much about cannabis, but he had trust in his team. And that same thing with like why we had such a great team. He had trust in his management, Des and Glenn. They had trust in us, and we all had trust. And that, seeing what we did, that's where I'm like, wow, if more people did that, we would all be living differently. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be like, okay, we're kind of on the come. This is good. Like, this is good. You're learning, but it'd be a different game, because I know there's people out there that have made millions of dollars off cannabis, and whack ass cannabis. May I just put that out there? Whack ass cannabis. They make their money and they bounce. And that's tough to see, knowing people are dying. Like, think about that dude that was just executed the other day. I don't know if you heard about that.
Nah.
There was a gentleman, I can't remember the part of the world, I'm going to butcher it, but gentleman was found with like 2 ounces and they executed him.
Oof.
And that to me is like, what? For cannabis.
That's rough.
For cannabis.
For a plant.
For a plant. And I know these countries are really strict on, we don't want this, we don't want that. But like, I just think if they're trying to send a message to the world, they're gonna look back in like 10 years. I mean, they should already be looking back, but like, it's gonna, as history goes on, they're gonna look back and be like, wow,
Yeah.
we fucked up.
Yeah, we did that shit. Like,
fucked up.
wow.
Absolutely.
Especially with like what's going on around the world, like too, with legalized in medical and recreational.
Absolutely.
It's like inevitably gonna happen, you know.
Of course.
It's been around for centuries, man. It was using Chinese medicine to start, you know.
Of course. There's, Chinese emperors that are, when they find them, they have cannabis around them. They've been using it, right? You know, my background's Jamaican. You know, my bloodline goes back to the Arawak Indians, some of the first original people on the island. And like, from my research too, like, they use cannabis as well, like recreationally, but also medically, right? It's been used. It's being used already. So I don't really understand the fight to kind of eliminate it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You're fighting something that doesn't need to be fought, man.
yeah,
I mean,
course.
it was over the lumber, right? It was over the paper wars, really. They didn't want to use any more hemp paper and shit, so they wanted to outlaw the whole thing.
Of course. And like, for us, we kind of, like, the Muggles dinner is what you guys came to. And the term Muggles comes from back in like the early 1920s era, like the jazz era. Muggles was a slang term for cannabis or marijuana, if you will.
Oh, okay.
Don't use the term marijuana because technically it has its own like racist history with it. But they, it's their like code word, Muggles. Not a Harry Potter term, fortunately for people. But, it kind of works in my favor because like, people see Muggles, they're like, yo, what up? So, but yeah, so that sort of energy and vibe back in the 1920s was like very unity. You'd have these jazz clubs where people from all walks of life, you had a lot of interracial people mingling, socializing, jazz mates playing. It didn't matter your background. If you could play, you could play. And that brought people together. That beautiful music, that beautiful food, that energy. So that's kind of where we come from with the whole Muggles thing, is that we're recreating that sort of energy. Good music. So you come in, we got a record playing going.
Yeah.
How many people got a record player nowadays? Maybe a lot of people. I don't know. I'm just getting back into it. But like, to whip out some, Ella Fitzgerald or some, Louis Armstrong. Of course. It's the sound, and that stuff's been captured on wax. So to bring it back out while we're consuming something good and having good food and energy, it's literally the same sort of vibe, but modern, right? Yeah. Anybody has a phone or, I almost said MP3 player, but I'm old school. But, CD player. Yeah, for sure.
CD player is not any better, dog.
We'll go back to cassettes too while we're at it.
VCR.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Oh, damn. So would you say your sommelier course helped you a lot in the early days?
Of course. I did. So they only did 2 levels, but I was one of the first to do level 1 and level 2 cannabis sommelier. And I found that, again, because it doesn't focus on brands, it teaches you about the plant and the history on it, and taught me to properly train my nose, that I can pick up on things that I've never really experienced. I'm like, oh, wow, I can't believe I'm smelling that, or I know it. And like, I feel like people have talked about it, but it's like how when you smell something, it triggers a memory. Yeah. So that's a lot of times I'm like, I don't remember what that's called, but I remember that smell. And I'm like, I mess with that.
And then you associate the effect with it too.
Of course.
So all that kind of plays together.
Yeah, definitely. So I do believe that sommelier was a different take on understanding the plant. And, Adolfo and Julie and the team there, again, they were fantastic. And because, especially Adolfo, if you guys ever get a chance to sit down with this person, it will blow your mind. He just has so much knowledge in his brain about, the history and the plant. Actually, it's just like you want to get high and just listen to him. It's like a Neil Tyson deGrasse, but of cannabis, like just blow your mind. But he really brought that energy that made you feel like these are my people. This is what the plant is. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm getting. And that was part of the course, What are you smelling? What does that smell good to you? Cool. All right. That might feel with you. And because of that helped me figure out, okay, these terpenes are what I like. These terpenes are what I'm looking for. And then from there, I was able to be like, okay, it was almost easier to recommend people, or like, what are you looking for? You can't talk about like health effects, but it's like, what are you ultimately trying to do? Are you trying to like, do you have shit to do, or are you just trying to chill?
Yeah.
Oh, I have shit to do. Okay. Well, this has that stuff in it. And then kind of playing around with that.
That's dope, man.
But they just take it to a level that I don't think anybody else is. And I mean, they speak for themselves. A lot of people are going to them and have been trained by them. They just are on a whole different level. And from there, just kind of stepped out, trying different things. That's really what it comes down to.
Canna-Reps, yeah?
Yeah, Canna-Reps. They are solid. Definitely shout out to Canna-Reps.
Okay, say no more. So would you say that bud tenders and just people involved in the space should all be looking to take this course?
Personally, yeah. Like, it should be an industry standard to understand, because they're teaching about the plant and less about, hey, we're sponsored by Tweed, so we're going to tell you about sorry Tweed, I don't mean to throw you under the bus, but we're sponsored by whoever and we're trying to do this specifically, right? They're just about the plant. They just teach you general knowledge about the plant, and it's just like, it's like a bit. It's like they're not gonna give you everything, but they're gonna give you the tools that you can make the right decisions for yourself. And ultimately, that's what you're doing as a bud tender, if you will, right? Like, I never felt like I'm gonna have the answers for this person, and it's like, I can't tell you, man, this is like, even if I know this takes me to wherever I need to be, it may not do the same for you. So my job is to be like, hey, listen, I know what you're looking for, but here are the tools. You just need to look for quality. You want to make sure you have some good like crystal, some good moisture. You want to have good this. If you like equip people with the tools, they'll make the best decision for themselves. And then from there, they'll feel more confident, and they'll obviously credit a bit of that to you, right? Like, that's the idea, is we're just like putting each other onto different stuff, right? It shouldn't just be like, oh, I got all the answers. Like, this is the shit.
Yeah, bro.
If you don't like it, you don't know the fuck you're talking about.
and that's just comes back to that conversation about the genuine people, right?
100%. And you know it. Like, I walk into stores and like, I laugh because I hate feeling like an old head. Like, I haven't been in this game like 5 years, but I feel like, oh, back in my day, you don't even know what we went through to sell cannabis. We didn't even have a menu, like, but like, I think it's definitely important that I don't know. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but
it's all good,
it is good to like be connected with the right people. And I like, oh, that's what I'm saying, is that when I go to a store, some of the people, like, I'll know right away. I'll say like, oh, you're looking for anything specific? And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of looking for this something, whatever. And, oh, have you tried this one? It's got the highest THC. And I'm like, nah. Right away, I'm like, stop. Don't even tell me. Or if I do purchase it, they're like, hey, I just want to let you know it's got this much THC. I'm like, I don't care. I'm already buying it. So you don't even need to tell me the THC. I really care about the terpenes. That's what really attracted me. Yeah. But when I usually will ask a certain question, and I know right off the bat if they're down. If I come in, I'm like, hey, I'm looking for this. Or if they're like, oh, what are you getting? If I feel that they're trying to learn, or if there's good intention there, I like that. I like that conversation. It opens up. I don't try to be a snob. I don't let anybody really know what I'm doing. But, sometimes I will I've been into a store here in Guelph, and the guy he's like, I've seen a couple people buy that. Like, what is it? And I told him about it. And once I purchased it, I let him open the bag to see what it was, what it smelled. And like, he's going to sell more of that just because of that interaction. Right. So yeah, I think it's important to have that sort of thing, or not feeling like you need to know everything. You don't need to know everything being a bud tender. You can come in and just say, I don't actually know, but maybe my coworker does, or could you tell me about it? That's a big thing I would do with people, is like, oh, I personally don't buy no CBD strain. Like, it doesn't, I'll get it for free. I'll smoke it. Great. But I'm not buying it. So if someone be like, oh yeah, the CBD one's great. I'm like, cool. But, or if they want to get it, I'm like, tell me about it. Next time you come back, let me know if it's good or not. So I can tell other people, right? That's kind of always been my thing. So
That's what I do too at the store, man.
Yeah.
I always ask people like how they like the last stuff, because I'm not buying everything. in the
Yeah,
store,
of course.
bro. There's no way.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get my feedback off Reddit, and even Reddit's kind of like a
yeah,
shady
hit and
place a
miss.
little bit.
Yeah.
So I kind of just get it from my customers, man. And it's usually positive feedback. If it's bad, though, I make sure that they know that they can give me that feedback. I won't be hurt.
Yeah,
you know?
100%. I tell people, I'm like, if this is bad, tell me. I won't
Yeah.
order it again.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like I won't be hurt, man. Just let me know.
I need to know. That's why I was telling him, I'm like, I didn't
make
here.
it.
Yeah, I didn't make it. I'm like, I tell people straight, like, my name's not on the door. So whatever you tell me, ain't no sweat, man. Like, I just need to know to tell the people. Like, keep it real, right? So
For real.
yeah.
I get you. That's dope.
I think the most I learned from people, actually, or the most I learned about cannabis is from people, from interacting with them at the store.
That's what it is, man. You learn more from just
100%.
talking to the next person and
100%.
any topic, bro.
Yeah.
Not just about cannabis. You learn about the world that way.
Absolutely.
People do so much different shit, bro. Like every day I meet somebody and like I'll never heard of the job that they're doing.
Yeah. No, I feel the same thing too. Like you meet so many great people, and I'm like, and they're just happy to be like, yeah, I smoke weed. I'm like, what? I would never expect that. There's actually, I just came across this business that they do like dog sledding,
Yeah.
and then I take people on dog sled tours. But like the owners, I believe, consume cannabis, so they want to have like dog tours with. Like not
Where is
saying
this?
I'm just learning about it myself, but I'm like, wow, I would never have like put that together. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, there's just so many people of all different walks of life that just happen to get together. Like, yeah, smoke weed. I'm like, I love that. I
Dude,
love that.
dogs and weed, bro.
I know.
Can't get any better than that, bro. Kidding me?
I was thinking about that too. It would be a really good vibe. Don't worry, I'll keep you guys in tune. I'll keep you guys in tune for sure.
What was it like when you first consumed cannabis?
Let's see. I think I didn't start consuming, believe it or not, till like after I graduated high school.
Oh, damn.
That's crazy.
So, like, I don't want to like play into like stereotype. Like, none of my parents smoke really. Like, they don't smoke at all, and they don't really drink. You know what I mean? Special occasions. But my dad would always have parties, and my dad was a DJ, so I would smell cannabis at these parties. You know what I'm saying? But I guess it just never appealed to me like that. It was never like, oh man, I got cannabis. It was no big deal. So after high school, I was like on my own. I was like maybe 17, 18. I was living on my own. I had a roommate, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna like let loose a little bit. You know, I'm gonna like. He was like, yo, you want to smoke weed? I'm like, fuck yeah. We listen, like, smoke some weed, listen to, like, some, like, 60s, 70s rock, you know, like The Doors, Hendrix. And I then got why this music was so appealing. I was like, wow, when you're high, it just, like, hits differently. So I was like, okay, I get it. But then my roommate started to guide off into, like, other drugs. And he was like, I'm going to go on experimenting everything. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that at all.
I'll see you later,
Yeah, so I just stuck with cannabis, and it was super cool. Like, you know, I occasionally do it with my friends. It was a special occasion. We came up at a time though. We were super blessed that we had great dealers. Like the one dealer we had was a U of G student, and I remember going over there, and like he had. Like whatever he said he had, like it was like orange this, it smelled like oranges, or it was this, or you know, you know, like a Kush, it was a Kush. But you'd open this drawer and just have like all this variety, and I assumed everywhere was like that. So we got real spoiled, you know. At other dealers that would just like loan me ounces at a time, and I'm just like, this was great. It was amazing. And then I moved to like places like Peterborough, and it was like hard to find things. Like I had stuff one time that a guy had dusted in like sugar or salt. Like I didn't notice at the time. It was just like I take it. And one time I was looking at it, I'm like, this ain't right. I'm like, oh no, that is salt. Like so I never found like great quality after that. It was really Guelph was my first experience, and it was like the best experience. We had the best of everything. It was always on deck. And it was just a good time, you know. It was my alternative to like drinking was okay, but it was it was cleaner. It was nicer. I enjoyed the mental space. I enjoyed being able to relax and not stress out about stuff at times. So yeah, I definitely say my first experience was phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like you felt it right away. Eh?
Yeah, like the first, yeah, I would say I would. I did feel it right away, but I didn't appreciate it until I started trying different stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like the first couple, yeah, you might puff on a joint, so you don't like, what is this? I wasn't like, oh yeah, I smoked Granddaddy Perp right off the bat. It had the beautiful crystal. Like you wouldn't know that. I just smoked weed, and it wasn't too bad. There was no hangover. And for me, growing up drinking, there was a lot of times I would drink and I would guess like I would get drunk, but I'd wake up next morning, I was fine. I didn't like throw up, nothing. And I didn't really like that. I thought it was like very unhealthy. I was like, I should be throwing up. I should be like doing something, but I'd wake up and I'd be fine. So I was like, nah, I'm not about it. So yeah, finding smoking was like proper.
Yeah.
That's interesting, bro. That's a completely different like mental space to think about. Like people probably quit because they're like, yo, I fucking hate throwing up every morning.
Yeah.
But you weren't even doing shit. So wow, like that's the first time I got that kind of perspective. It's interesting.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's dope, man. Yeah, music hits different for sure when you're.
It's right. For
I'll
sure,
listen to the
right.
Bush album by Snoop Dogg. That shit would put us in a whole different trance at first. Bro. It would just wave you as well. That
Just
psychedelic,
spacey,
like,
yeah.
that music is different, bro.
No, for sure, man. I love it. And that's another reason why I think I like jazz is like, it's so calming. I remember I worked at this factory one time and I worked in the kitchen, but I had to be there so early. Like, there was no bus and like I wasn't driving at the time. But so I Uber, and every morning I had the same Uber driver come. And like when you're waking up, like you're tired of shit, like you're getting into a car. As soon as I get in this car, he was already playing jazz. And it instantly just like triggered, all right, we got this alertness, happy, good vibes. It was such a great feeling. I was like, I dreaded getting out of the car to get into work. But that really made me like, okay. Like, and the driver was great too. But that really changed my perspective to say like music does affect that stuff. You know what I'm saying? That does have that sort of energy, right?
100%, man.
So yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I
man.
feel like music is, I use music as like a timestamp for myself. If I hear a certain song or a certain verse or some shit, it'll transport me
For
to
sure.
Yeah.
For
a
sure.
time, either when I first heard that song or when I like really paid attention to it.
Yeah, it'll just trigger a memory, bro. Like a lot of people I know feel like that. Like music, smells when you eat a certain type of food.
Yeah, I have heard that. That's interesting. I think that's some genius stuff right there.
It's
Like
crazy,
to be
bro.
able, you know, like smelling stuff while music. Yeah,
Bro,
that's
I'll
a whole
smell
level.
some shit and then like I'll like think back to like, oh, this specific day at this time in fucking university in this year.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
no,
crazy shit like
I
that.
definitely can. I can agree to that. Like I've definitely had moments of like smelling certain things and like food or like certain perfumes. Like one time my partner had like had this perfume on and just like instantly triggered a memory of my mom. And like my mother lives in like the States, so I don't see her very often. And it was just like, it was surreal because I had not smelled that in like since I was a kid. elementary
bro.
school. So I was like, what? That is.
Shit gives you chills, bro.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a vibe. So it was crazy. So that's why I think I can appreciate cannabis too in those parallels that like, I mean, I always remember what it is, but at least knowing those smells and those terpenes that appeal to me, if I ever am in a pinch, I could be like, okay, I think this will be what I need or what I want, or it just helps make a decision better. So
For real.
yeah.
For real. So higher learning. What is that all about, man?
Yeah, so HighR Learning is like my company. It's cannabis education and entertainment, and it's an evolving business. I will say that. Like we just started this up recently, and you know we do catering and you know host dinner parties stuff like that. But the main part of it is just like educating people on cannabis and again terpenes and understanding their bodies and how to use that in their food and stuff like that. As mentioned, I'd worked in a bunch of different stores and helped start up these businesses, and ultimately that's you help start these up and then they kind of just like wash their hands of you and what you're doing. And I didn't enjoy that. Like I'm helping build up this industry and helping these people make millions of dollars, there's still no space for me, you know. So higher learning, and like it's like, think of it like high reefer learning. That's how I look at it. HighR, you know.
Yeah.
Higher, it's just you play on words.
I get you.
Higher learning. And yeah, just talk about reefer. I educate on it, and just in a different way, not just the typical stuff that you might learn in, you know, your store or something like that. I really do educate on stuff. I do private sessions with people and help them understand how to incorporate it into their daily life, whether it be through topicals, edibles, if they're looking for like more smokables, what to look for, things like that. And then again, we do a lot of that through our dinners and stuff like that. And why I say it's evolving is because we do a lot. You know, I say we, my partner Carrie and I. I have
you two that are kind of the main ones.
We're the two main ones. I have a small team that does help out with dinners, stuff like that. Like I have other, you know, chefs and people who've, you know, been in the industry that just kind of come out and fully support that. And that's a beautiful thing too. People want to see me win, and also ultimately love that they can come together and help out in that space.
Absolutely.
But yeah, HighR just ultimately started as my answer to help my community. You know, like I said, with this Canada Reps knowledge and stuff, what am I going to do with that? Right? Like you have to do something. And in this industry, we're still in a very young age of cannabis that it's like, why can't we be making as much money as anybody else, right? We have the power. Like you work in a store, you have more power than somebody who sits on some of these boards of directors, or who are, I mean, maybe not in that sense, they may not look like that, but you ultimately do. You are the one who is like front line telling people
decide
that.
Who gets paid, essentially.
Yeah, of course, exactly, right? So I think that I want to help bridge certain things. Like I want to be able to be there for budtenders if they need, but I also want to be able to help businesses if they are serious about trying to like have more cannabis in there, or again, events where people are like, hey, I want to have cannabis at my event. How do I do that safely? Nice. I want to be able to be that person, right? Like that go-to, right? If you need something fixed, there's a dude in town that knows how to fix a certain car, or there's a person who knows how to do baking and teaching and all that stuff. Like people have all these expertise. Well, when it comes to cannabis in Guelph, I want to be that number one person. Not the only person, but like,
you want to be that guy that they think of, like
100%.
Where do we gotta go? We gotta go higher.
100%, because Canada is like, we have a unique opportunity here. When people are traveling here and they want to learn about stuff, or if they again want to host a dinner, or again just do it right, who are you gonna go to? You can't go to OCS. You can't. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have somebody you can call to answer these questions. I want to be that guy because I'm connected, but also because I look at it as not like profit. I don't give a fuck about the money. I can't take that with me. But like being able to help another person, knowing they'll help somebody else, that will change the game.
Yeah. That shit's going to last, bro. That'll be
100%.
That'll be the thing that you leave in the world.
100%. Real quick, I remember one time at Ganjika House, there was a lady that was like, my mother's super cranky. Like she's always yelling at the kids, like never happy, not eating, not sleeping, whatever else. Like, what do you recommend? I'm like, well, I can't talk about like health things, but I'm like, I do recommend, at the time, I think it was like a Hexa oil. Okay. I'm like, I recommend this, very lower in THC. So, and there's other attributes to it. You know, we got CBD and all this other stuff in there. It's a little more balanced. I'm like, try this out, see if it just helps her. I didn't really think anything of it, but then she came back like, say, a week later, and she was telling me that her mother has Alzheimer's and she's terminally ill. And she said she was able to see her mother play with the kids. She was like happy. She was eating, singing. As she was telling me this, I was like instantly trying to fight back tears. I've never had that in my life. And hearing that, knowing you're helping somebody else, like completely change your life. I don't know what it's like to have those things, but to know that somebody like literally came back to say like, yo, my mom, like she's on her way out and this is how she feels. Again, like, you can't put a price on that. So why wouldn't you want to continue to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like smoking, you got all these really great perks, but like to change somebody's life, that is like the real things.
Those are my favorite customers right there, man. Like,
yeah.
The people that come in and are like, yo, I need something like CBD or like some for this reason. Now, of course, we can't give medical advice, but
which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
In my opinion. No offense. I've talked to doctors and like nurses. they don't even have the answers a lot of the time. You guys know more than a lot of doctors and nurses I've talked to.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. Like being a pharmacist, I'm trying to use my knowledge and trying to bridge that gap. Like you're trying to do with this, I'm trying to do with
100%.
that, man. Like
It's perfect too.
It's our responsibility with what our passion is towards the plant, and like with our expertise and our background, we have to give what we can to it for sure.
Absolutely.
That's the way I see it.
Well, that's solid, man. That's important stuff to have, right? You know, like especially front lines. I know through even my medical, some of the stuff I could go to shoppers to get and things like that. But again, when I'm sitting down with these doctors or my nurse practitioner, they're like, "Oh, you can't have high THC because it will cause you to have anxiety." And I was like, "That's not true, you know."
No,
And
I mean,
I'm
it can happen.
It can
but
happen,
it's
but
not a guarantee, or it's not something that I would even say is
for
And
sure,
that's a
real threat
reason
all the
people
time.
use it, I would say, like
Yeah.
if they have anxiety.
for sure. And it could be, and it's ultimately it's based on the terpenes and that terpene profile. It's not based on the high THC. So when I'm hearing a certified doctor or nurse tell me that, I'm thinking, what? You're the one who's at the front of the line, and you're the one who's telling people this that could totally change their lives. That doesn't sit well with me. So that's why I respect you being a pharmacist, because now the shoppers and places like that do sell. It's like we need people like this who really do care about it. Like you can be smart in other things, know all other drugs, but cannabis is totally different.
Yeah, bro. And I'm not saying that there's like okay, smoke cannabis and it's gonna fix like cancer, or it's gonna fix your if you have a bacterial infection. And there's still shit like that, like genuine like medication was made for that, like penicillin and stuff. That shit was discovered for a reason. But there's definitely a place for it, and a lot of certain medications can be substituted with that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with that. And I don't know a lot about those things, but I think that's what you're talking about. Smoking is smoking.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's risks with that, right? Again, with people who have finished chemo, my dad just had lung cancer, and just had surgery. Like he can't smoke weed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and as much as I want to say, I wish like, oh man, yeah, just puff on this. Like that would ease you, and it may not be as harmful as a cigarette. I know people need other alternatives, and that's why, like, excuse me, like I feel like I've more geared towards edibles and ingestibles, beverages. If I'm being honest with you, they don't really have much effect on me. I wanted like the few. I luckily will never get high on my own supply, I don't think, in that sense. But I do love that other people can ingest them and have a better reaction to them, and that's where I think again the industry is going. When people are coming here as tourists, they're not necessarily going to be picking up a joint and looking for the best pre-roll. They're going to want to know, what restaurant can I go to that's going to offer me an infused beverage or a infused little cake that will just give me a little buzz.
Yeah.
That is the future, and that's where kind of we're heading. So I'm just aware of that sort of, again, that focus. Health Canada would be more on board with that, I would say, too, as opposed to like, yo, the new Health Canada approved blunts, like, check these out, right? Like,
Bro, if I could go and get like a little 2.5 to 2.5 like carrot cake, bro, give me that.
Yes.
Man. Give me that shit.
yeah, man.
A little bit of cinnamon on there, the terps creating a profile.
Replace the alcohol
Trust
with
me,
the
bro.
infused drinks
100%.
instead, man. It'd be a way better time.
Yeah, and that's what I think is more feasible for people, more acceptable. We talk about, and this is gonna be a very controversial topic, but like cannabis for kids, like things like that. There are kids in the world who are taking cannabis.
Yeah,
they're not.
I've seen a lot of those.
They're not passing them joints and be like, "Here, puff on this, like little."
It's like oils and
But
things
you're
like
getting
that.
Oils,
you're getting
beverages,
1,000 milligrams of
edibles.
CBD a day.
Yeah.
Those are
Like,
real
yeah.
things, and I don't think that that's something that should be shunned. I think it should be something that be more studied, because there are autistic kids that are needing this. There are people who would might be a better vitamin. Is actually probably healthier than a Flintstone vitamin, because if you took a whole cannabis, like a CBD edible or a bottle of them, it might be better for you than a whole bottle of Flintstone vitamins.
I've even seen people who have like epileptic seizures and things
Absolutely
feel a little better after having like CBD.
Bro, they can completely like cure your seizures, bro.
Yeah, I mean that's what was it Charlotte's Web's named after. There's a little girl named Charlotte who had seizures, and they, I believe, created this after her. And like that's something I think should be more focused on and talked about, as opposed to being like, it's so bad, keep it away from the kids. Like I agree. Like smoking probably shouldn't be. I would never suggest a child smoke or something like that. But if they need that help, I would rather them see something that's beneficial to their bodies, because they have their bodies are still able to metabolize cannabis. You know what I mean? They're born with cannabis receptors.
Absolutely.
When a baby's drinking like breast milk, things like that. I've heard and read all these things, like you're getting these same sort of effects and terpenes and all that sort of vibe. So I don't know. Don't think it would be something to shy away from. It'd be something to study.
You don't want doped up kids, obviously.
Of course, 100%.
CBD is a different realm. It's a different
man.
process.
Absolutely.
Different chemical makeup and all that. So.
And again, I think in those senses, like I said, we look at it as a health benefit, as opposed to like we're not trying to get these kids like stoned off their minds. But I do think that by helping them understand cannabis as a plant from a very young age, they're less likely to grow up and be like, oh my God, see this nugget cannabis? Somebody be like, okay, I've seen cannabis before. Like, wow. No one cares. We've seen, and I think that's how I started. Like, I've heard of cannabis. Big deal. It wasn't a big deal. But when we keep hiding it, being like, oh, okay, look at cannabis. We can't let the kids see the packaging. We can't let them do this. By them doing that, of course, they're going to be like, well, what's behind the door? What's behind that frosted windows? What is this? Can I consume all these at once? I'm going to do it.
It's like the war on drugs or whatever, like war on cannabis. It's like, you guys don't need to be fighting it. There's no point in fighting it. If you just legalize it, then everything will just, kind of be clear on its own in a way.
For sure. But I think that's like, I think that war on drugs is like still more of like a racial thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, really, we know the war on drugs didn't do anything. There was no, it was, it didn't do what they wanted it to do.
I mean, it did.
It did
what they wanted to do, but not what they wanted to do on paper.
Exactly. And I think it's shitty because the war on drugs destroyed so many people's lives. And I think that's another mindset of myself too, is that like every time I do something or an event or a fundraiser, if I make money, I donate a portion of my money to an organization that's either going to help people who've been incarcerated when they get out or while they're still in there. That is such a big part of what I do. How can I sit here, talk to you guys, talk all this game, make money? Like, imagine if I was being paid this and then just take this money and then go away. Knowing somebody else is sitting somewhere, or they're going to be murdered, or, just their family's been destroyed all because of something that we consume and smoke so freely every day. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. So when we see these companies here, when we're in Canada, I am very much like, put up or shut up. That's how I look at it. How can you have a responsibility? It may not be a legal responsibility, but like a moral responsibility. I know it's a business, but like you're capitalizing off of what people who look like us have already done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're not recreating the wheel. They're selling half quarters. They're selling ounces based off of what somebody's already created who didn't go to college, university.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They're learning these business practices based off of somebody who did it illegally, who probably lost their lives or their family ruined because of it. So they do have a moral responsibility. When I see it, I call it out. I think it's important to do that. Yeah. They don't like it, but you got to call them out for it. Because if you don't, then no one else will, right? Yeah. I had the benefit of working at a packaging plant near here, and they packaged a bunch of different products. And I remember when the owners came through one day, they're like, hey, everybody, we just sold the company, or we just partnered with this company. Now we're getting bigger. And it was like my second or third day there. And I like put my hand up and I was like, so how does that benefit everybody else? Like what are you guys going to do to ensure everybody's jobs are kept, or that, this continues? And, I said it very politely. And I got the most politician answer ever. They just like were dancing around the question. And I didn't really understand why. I was just curious. I'm like, I don't know any of you people, so I got no shame. Like, I'm not worried about it, but I really did want to know. And not even like 2 months later, those guys sold the company and all those people got fired and they moved to somewhere else. And I thought, wow, that's fake shit.
Damn.
That's some fake shit. Also, they could save money. They moved the factories to places where people are going to do it for the most minimal amount of money, and they're going to treat them like shit. And I think that's unfair.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Capitalism, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is capitalism, but I say like we luck out that in this industry, is like, it's like hip hop. This is built by the people. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter how much they want to promote, say Drake or whatever on the radio. We all know who the real MCs are. No offense to Drake. Like it really comes down to it. It's like you can promote this all the time. Like I never really hear Nas on the radio, but Nas is ill.
Yeah.
How often do we hear Snoop? Like some of these people, you may not hear them all the time, but we know who the realist is.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's a good way of putting it, man, for sure. Have you always been like obsessed with like food and like cooking and stuff like that?
I'd say probably, maybe not obsessed, but like I'm the oldest of 6, and I know my parents worked super hard to have food on the table and to make sure that we were all provided for. And we weren't all 6 at one time, but like I got 2 sisters in the States. But food again brought us all together. My father's the type of dude, like he cooks, he cleans, like he does it all. And he used to make some amazing food. And even when some things I was like, yeah, all right, like it's good. But then I move away, you're making your own stuff. But then you come back home and it's like home cooking, just like
different, bro.
It's different. I'm like, how you do this? Like, and he doesn't have no recipes or anything like that. But it's
they just be chucking shit in.
Yeah, just doing it. He just knows. Like, and I'm thinking like, man, that's solid stuff. And I always appreciated that everybody always came to his barbecues. They always, our Reed family barbecue. Anybody could pull up. You're having a good time. The food's on par. Like, I love that energy. And growing up, I feel like, again, now at this time and with everything going on in the world, it's so easy to like, first of all, to keep to yourself. Mm-hmm. I feel we're all going through a lot of stuff. We're all going through something. And it's easy to just keep to ourselves, but it's nice to just check in on each other and like, how you doing? How you feeling? Right? Like, even if it's not a big conversation, just come have some good food. And so, I think always growing up, food has been such a staple in my life of bringing people together, showing respect, and just creating a vibe.
Just bonding over food. It's such a simple thing, but it really does bring people together, man.
100%.
Like people that you haven't seen for time, like you could just click over a meal or so
for sure.
And that's something that's really important that you're doing. It's cannabis and food together, bro. That's like a double whammy, right there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And honestly, you always have thoughts of it and you want to do it, but I guess I never really expected to do it like this, to do cannabis and food. It was just after I did my sommelier course, it was like, that's super dope. But then there was a course that was being held for cannabis culinary. And it was like a group of people, Travis Peterson, Tamara, Lillian from Cancel, head of education at Cancel, shout out to Tamara. They came together, they had this like cooking course, and I was like, she was telling me, she's like, yo, you should come get involved. Like, I was like, yeah, but like, it was in Toronto. I live in Guelph. It was like not cheap. It was a pricey cooking course, but I'm like, whatever. I should learn, learn from some people. And I went down there, and like 2 of the people had been on MasterChef. Everybody in that room at that dinner had their own cannabis business. Wow. Chef Pat Newton, I'm familiar with him. Another legend. He's definitely done some great stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure he just sold a business. Like these guys had already established businesses. I was the only motherfucker that was just like coming in for a night to chill and hang out. Yeah,
100%.
But they did a certification course, and I did that, and I learned some really good techniques and understanding of it, of cooking with it, and I learned like how everybody else learned before. Like, I just threw a bunch of stuff into a brownie mix, gave it to somebody, and was like, how is it? You high? Like, you kind of just see how you go. But I really wanted to dial in like flavor, and I wanted to dial in like numbers, and like, you know, I knew it would just come in handy one day.
Do you think like cannabis and like flavors of food can like mix together and like kind of accentuate each other?
Absolutely. Because I mean, there's products, I mean, things out there that have natural terpenes in it already, right? It's learning, obviously learning your terpenes and understanding them, but playing with different flavors and scents, playing off those senses for people, right? Like maybe maybe you're not going to necessarily have that specific terpene in there, but even just like have it around, or, you know, in the environment would be super flavorful or like super enjoyable. Cooking with it can be tricky, because certain cultivars, if they have a super great flavor, it doesn't always may not come through when you're cooking. In order to do that, you have to cook very low, like low and slow. It's a very low and slow sort of process. There's a method that they call the Zdeno method, but I don't know if you guys ever heard of like a sous vide machine.
I can't have.
So it's like you're getting like a bucket of water, and like a lot of chefs do this. So if you want to cook like a perfect steak or something like that, and then you're putting your product in it, you vacuum seal it, and you're putting in this water, and you can dial in the temperature of the water to a specific temperature. So if you're making a steak, you can cook a steak and it'll be perfect, and it could sit at that temperature for a while. And so you just leave it there, you pull it out, fry it off. If you do this with cannabis at a very low temperature, you're going to pull out more of that flavor and smell, less of the, you know, the bad tasty stuff.
Carbon.
Yeah, you know, but not a lot of people have a sous vide machine at home to do that. So it's not as practical. It takes a long time. And you do get a lot of that, that smell, that, you know, that sense good energy, but it's less on the potent side. So you kind of sacrifice one for the other. Either you're going to get like really good smelling, or you're going to get something that's more potent and stuff like that. So yeah, it's
definitely complex with like removing terps and like trying to preserve them. With I know some of these companies. We had Matt from Sheesh on the other day, and he was saying the way that they keep their full spectrum strain specific, preserve all the terpenes, is by using like this extractor that goes super slow and like just captures the terpenes in like a different way. So
yeah,
I'm wondering if it's the same kind of like concept in a way.
Yeah, it's got to be slow and low. And I think of it almost like a vaporizer. You know, like you're not. Some of these terpenes don't need to be burned; they just need to be heated to a certain temperature, right? I guess, and that's where more of the like science and the nerdiness comes in, because certain terpenes at certain temperatures have different effects and different feelings.
And dude, they can be poisonous over a certain temperature.
Yeah. So like things like that. So there's so much into it. That's why I'm like, man, we should be studying this and learning, right? Wish there was an easy book to be like, oh yeah, we're good, right? But it is.
You can make that.
Yeah. Get on it. But it is. That's the same sort of idea. It's very low and slow, and you'll pull out more of that like pureness of what you're trying to use, right? I think that's a tricky thing for me, like on the market, is finding bulk amounts of something that smells and maintains that really good quality and potency without having to spend like $400 on like an ounce, right?
So that cannabis culinary courses, is that where you kind of learn to infuse stuff into food?
Yeah, that was like my professional thing, because again, I was with all these professionals and, you know, learning from them and what they do, and you learn it's more of it's some math, right? You're dialing in specifically what you're looking for. You're learning about how you are going to lose a bit of that potency if you're going to do it this way. If it gets heated above this, then you're going to lose about this much potency. So it was more. It was kind of like my Canna Reps thing. It was just more serious in like, this is how you're going to infuse stuff. This is how you're going to keep it fresh. And, you know, and yeah, just teaching you how to, it's like mixing with cooking. With cooking, you're using like fresh ingredients. You're not like getting bottom of the barrel, but you're not going to get that quality. So it's like, that's what we learned too, is like mixing. When you're searching for stuff, you're picking out the best of the best for what you're doing. Right?
It's just like food at the end of the day. Like you want the best ingredients for your food, right?
Absolutely.
Cannabis is an ingredient that you're using.
Absolutely.
For sure. Is so somebody that wants to start infusing cannabis, where would they start in your opinion? Like, how should they go about that?
Definitely start low and go slow. Like that is like the biggest thing. It's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
The problem is that the industry isn't always as honest sometimes with some of the products that they're pushing out. And that can affect what you're trying to do if you're looking for, if it, somebody in the store says, oh, it does this, then you get it, and then it does the completely opposite of that for you. I feel that can kind of mess you up. But I feel that going to a store, if you have a good store like that, finding a good person to talk to about what's best for you. And I think the main thing of infusing food for yourself is that you have to learn about yourself. What works for you? What do you like? What flavors do you like? What flavors do you not like? Are you cool with oils? Like, do you think you're gonna cook with oils a lot? Are you gonna?
Is that the main way that you would infuse like dishes? I would say.
No, I mix different things. Like I've used a bunch of different products to try to infuse that way. Oils is definitely easier depending on what you're making. Like, it can definitely be easier just to dial in what you want to do.
What were some of the stuff that, like some of the ingredients that you mixed the cannabis into, like in the dinner?
Cannabis wise, we used for like oil was definitely used at some of the main dishes. So like the king oysters that we made, we obviously had, we fried those in a bit of oil. We had the Metafarms CBD olive oil.
Yeah.
So we used that in different things. So like in salad dressings, we would use the oil. But then in something like the dessert, the berry coulis, we actually used a beverage that we got from
The monkeys.
Yeah, we used but we didn't use Green Monkey. I believe it was Embody. I used one of the Embody beverages, and then I almost made like a simple syrup with that, and then added some berries. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like very low and slow, but like cook that out just to add a bit of the mint in there. And
So did you like just dump the can in, or like is it like?
yeah, so that one, because I was making a bigger batch and it was mostly CBD, it was a little bit easier. If it was something else that has like higher amounts of THC, I'll do some math equations to kind of see, and also based on like my crowd is, I'll kind of figure that in. With that one, like 2 milligrams CBD or 2 milligrams THC with as many people as we had, it was going to be okay. But yeah, it's really just like dialing in. And you know what? Everybody's different, and that's why I try to keep it very generally fairly low CBDs, because you don't want anybody to have the wrong effect with it, right? You want to make sure everybody's coming can enjoy themselves. And if they're hungry, maybe they want to eat more. Yeah. Eat as much as you want and not feel like, oh, I can't eat more of that. That's not what I want. And because when you're making good food, you want to eat more of that.
Exactly. You don't want to be them scared of like what's going to happen if I consume another bite.
Exactly. For me, it's like getting people high is kind of easy. It's the having them not get too high but still enjoy themselves. That's the hard part, and that's the tricky part. And I think that's the real part of what we do, at least with higher learning and bringing people together. It's just like we're providing an experience that you can feel enjoyable, not be like, what happened last night? I was so high,
bro, for real. Because the next day when I woke up, I felt so good. Like my body was relaxed. Like I felt loose.
Of course,
I felt amazing, man.
Felt refreshed.
Yeah, good. Yeah. No, and that's another thing too. Another reason why we had to also have them on Fridays too is that so you can wake up on Saturday, because we're not trying to ruin your weekend. So you can wake up Saturday and still do what you need to do. Still have all day Saturday, still have all day Sunday. Because if we had a Saturday and say you do get like too much, you wake up and your Sunday is just messed up, and then you're not ready for Monday, right?
Yeah, your Monday might be fucked up too.
Exactly. So we definitely think about the stuff and that process and providing that with people. So yeah.
So man, I really hope to see more like events with you guys, just like running it up, man. Like I love to see all these creations that you come up with. It's just awesome, bro.
No, definitely. We definitely will. We just became members of CCTA. Cannabis tourism lines. Definitely a lot more really great individuals that are becoming a part of that.
That's out in Niagara, you were saying, right?
Yeah, like there's a lot of people all over Canada. One of the members actually, I believe, is a doctor out of University of Guelph, and she actually has like a government grant to study cannabis.
Okay.
So these people are they're
Finally.
looking at, again, the tourism of Canada and what people are going to come from all over the world. They're going to come here for a reason. So I just want to be a part of that conversation to say, like, when people are coming, these are who you talk to. So shout out to everybody on there. Karen on the Ridge Cannabis out there in Niagara, definitely another great spot. So hopefully get to have you guys out there sometime too.
Yeah, man, for sure. We'd love to.
Yeah, man.
Definitely. So
That'd be quite the experience.
yeah, man.
Do you have like a favorite dish that you would like to infuse things into?
Pasta.
Pasta?
I was thinking about that. Yeah, I've just like I went on a pasta kick. Like it's as if I went to Italy last summer or something like that. But I just like took like a couple of months and I just like obsessed over pasta. So I was like reading, like watching videos, and just like playing with pasta. And I love the different ways you can infuse it. And pasta's fairly healthy. Like you can eat that stuff every day if you do it right. You know, the pasta we made for the dinner was beetroot pasta.
Yeah, dude, that ravioli was crazy.
Yeah, and all that pasta was made by hand. So like I do everything. It's like rolling it out, like the beets are roasted. It's all this like it's a process, man. Like it took me like a few days just prepping for that dinner. But like myself and my team, I should say. But yeah, it wasn't just me. But no, it was a lot of prep. But like pasta is great because you can add so many different ways to infuse. So like obviously you can infuse the dough, you know, with your oil because you're not necessarily cooking that, you know, on a high temperature. You can leave it, you know, it's not getting that crazy, you know, like burn, or you're not putting it on a grill. But then you can infuse the filling as well. But then you can also go and infuse the dressing you're putting on top.
Yeah.
So that's what we also try to do, is that if you're building on those, like I build on flavor. That's one way people fuck up on cooking, is that they don't build on flavor. They can say, they can make the best thing in the world. If you did not salt and pepper that to begin with, it's going to be dry. I'm sorry. Anybody out there, if you ain't doing that, sorry, you need to do that shit. Okay? I'm calling you out. But no, you need to, like, that's what makes good food great, is that you're building on that flavor. So you're tasting that all the way through. And with infusions, I believe in the same thing. It's like, it doesn't need to be a high infusion, but if you're building on that level of infusion, again, it doesn't have to be crazy THC. You're just going to get a totally different product than if you didn't. To me, no offense, like, and I understand that's for some people how they're doing it. It's easy just to be like, oh, here's a mac and cheese. Here's a squirt of ketchup that's infused, and that's infused. That's an infused dish. That is. But like, when I'm saying I'm building on, when I'm doing it by hand, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between.
That's the easy way out.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's Chef Boyardee, but then there's, you know what I mean? Like,
when you go to an Italian restaurant, we pay $100 for a dish.
Exactly. Yeah, right. That's for me. That's where I think. Yeah, that's where I think the industry is going, and that's why I think that's what makes good. It makes for a good meal. If you're doing this at home, you know, I kind of go back to like making a few stuff at home. You make something that's low dosing. That's a low dose butter. Start putting that on your toast. Make your own olive oil. Make your own like confit garlic that's just infused. Like, you can make all these different things and have that infusion added to your dish in your meals every day. You don't need to be getting high off of this.
No.
You can literally, we all know that you can like chug 3 or 4 drinks and then you're fucked. But like, if you really just want to like dial this in and make it part of your everyday health, that's how you do it. It's having it very low, just there, natural, just a part of your routine, right? Like,
do you think it loses its potency over time if it's infused and just sitting there?
I think it can, but I think it's like how you're keeping it.
Okay.
Ultimately, it shouldn't be sitting there for too long. If you're making something and it's going to be, if you're making something chancellor, you're making it to eat. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's where I'm saying, like, make something that can last a little bit, but it shouldn't be maybe for months and months and months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be the same thing with like weed or something like that. Like, I'm not going to buy a half quarter I personally am not going to hold into a half quarter for like months. That's not lasting that long. If it's good, it's gone.
If it's parm, it's gone in one night.
Yeah, bro. 2 splits.
That's fair.
It's gone in one split.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
That's probably why I'm a bong guy. Because I'm like, man, I can't say goodbye to it right now because I'm sad the next day. And I'm like, damn, those 2 splits were amazing, but they're gone.
Yeah.
So
Holy.
No,
We
but
need
yeah.
Simons out here, man.
Yeah, no, I feel that. But yeah, I mean, I think after time, yeah, and I think anything will lose its potency.
Yeah.
But
Like I were to make it like an olive oil or something like that, like I would probably want to make a small batch that could finish within like a month or two.
absolutely, it doesn't have to be a lot. Like I've made small batches of stuff. You know, I know they have these recipes where it's like, all right, take 2 ounces, and then you're gonna take 2 sticks of butter. Like you don't need to do that much. Like it does require maybe some math, but if you're just testing it out, maybe don't use 2 sticks of butter. Don't use an ounce. Like, I don't know where I'm going to get a good ounce. That's where I struggle to find something that I'm like, that's like, you know, platinum grapes, but in ounce form for something I can afford. You know what I'm saying?
bro.
Like,
that is that needs to happen. Like Parm and I were talking about this just yesterday. I think that we need more of our 28 options for sure in these craft options.
absolutely
Yeah,
quality. Because then I'd be cooking with that. I'm not cooking with something bunk. Like I'm not doing that because that's gonna come through in your food.
Yeah, and you're also not trying to pay $400 for like 835.
Absolutely. So and that's where I feel in some ways I've gone to like occasionally tried like concentrates to infuse stuff because I know it's a little more potent. But like if I take a bit of that, we were talking about that CBD mango concentrate. If I take a bit of that and I dissolve it in a bit of honey, then that's still just as good. I'm not getting that like strong flavor. It comes through. Everything's good and delicious, but like that's more potent. I can use less. I don't have to worry about this dumping a bunch of flour and hoping for the best, right? So yeah, I think that's kind of important. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So when you have like an event, right, your day is probably like really busy, eh?
Yeah.
You turn into Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, I can for sure. You know, I always like things to be good. So yeah, try not to. I don't throw stuff at people. I never ever want to bring that energy. I do yell. I'm Jamaican. I'm a Cancer.
Bro,
I'm
I'd be
passionate.
scared if you're yelling at me, man. Like, holy, this man in the kitchen, like with a
no, definitely don't throw down.
Where my parfait?
No. I just like to be, you know, on time with stuff, and if somebody's coming and paying, and that's a big thing too. Is like people are paying to come to this, and like in my mind, because like I know what it's like to come from nothing, and I know what it's like to work hard for your money. So when I'm asking people to pay like $125, even $75 for a plate, like I know it sounds crazy, but times it kills me, especially in this like climate and this environment, knowing people are doing. It is a lot for me to ask that of people, but then I think like I'm also like I'm not worried about paying myself, but I also have staff to pay. I also have venues to rent. Of
course, man.
You know, I have to do those things, and I want to make sure people have enjoyable like time. And so when I make these meals, I'm like, wow, this is a good meal. You know what I'm saying? Like what I made for y'all, like in my mind, it was super good. It was 5-star. So when I go to another place, it's funny when people like give me not great food, I guess. But I'm like, wow, like I don't really charge that much for my meal. Like I could be charging more, but I don't because I want you to come and enjoy it, have that experience. That's a big deal for me. So I think I'm very big on making sure that experience happens for people when they come. So if you come and you say, I'm allergic to this, there's not gonna be any fuck ups. If you say like I'm a celiac, I'm not gonna tell you it's gluten free if I'm in the kitchen with gluten sprinkling it everywhere, but not on your plate. Like that's not right for people, and it sets a precedent. Like I feel like our saying is like if you have high expectations, high expectations protect you from low quality experiences. And that's what we're doing. You know, there's gonna be a bunch of people out there right now that's listening to this, that watch this, or like, I'm gonna go cook. Like everybody and their grandmother's an infused chef these days. I see, you know, they're out there doing their thing, but they're maybe not putting that detail in. I think you need to. If you're going to be good, you need to do that. You need to be aware of people's dietary restrictions, of their health concerns, of these things, so that when they come in, it's not like, hey, you know, like, are you sure that this is this? Oh, it's not. Or, you know, I don't want anybody to have a bad experience. I know what that's like. I've made my mistakes. One time I gave my sister a gummy. I was like, don't worry, this is a 2.5 gummy. You'll be fine. she was not fine. So I learned real quick that even me, with all the knowledge I think I may have, I'm still learning. I'm always learning. I still have to be understanding the people, what they're doing, what they feel. So,
and that's what separates, I think, you from like everybody else and the people that are really excelling in their fields. Is that extra step that you're doing.
No, I appreciate it. It's it can be tough sometimes. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm human too. So sometimes I'm on the gram and I'm seeing people. I'm like, what? You've teamed up with who? You get to do this, and it's just a simple like, hey guys, my name's so and so, and I'm gonna make an infused dinner today. Boom, it's infused. Follow me for more recipes. I that kills me. I'm like, are you joking? And it's hard because I don't always, like, I'm not on Instagram. I'm not flexing like that, but I'm working. I'm actually running these streets. That's not like that's not a cap. That's not me just trying to be fancy. Like, I'm running the streets. I'm putting in that work, and you may not see it now. But it's, again, you see who comes to these dinners. Yeah, y'all came, and you seen who was there. It's not just anybody. You're not getting some of these people that just come to a dinner. I've never, like, some people like even Amy or Rena. Some of these people, again, I've only met once or twice. Amy, I've actually never met. I've never met her in my entire life. We've talked, had conversations. I've respected what she's done. She's an OG in the space, you know? Between herself, Rena, like, they were connected, Tracy Curley, like, these are legends in our space. So I've just been aware of what they do. I follow it. I respect it. If I can help out in any way, I try to be there. And it's just, if I get praise from them or, you know, like, thanks from them, that is making it for me.
It's a huge deal, man. Yeah.
That's worth more. It's like street cred. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I understand who's on the radio. I'm not on the radio, but your favorite rapper. I'm your favorite rapper's favorite rapper.
Yeah. You're a young boy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Do you have a favorite terp or favorite set of terpenes, let's say, for like the day or night?
Terpenoline? Limonene?
Yeah.
Limonene, however you want to pronounce it.
That haziness. Yeah,
anything
man.
hazy. And I don't think there's like a lot of research that ties into this, but they do say, there's a saying that, like, you think of these, a lot of landrace strains. We know what landrace strains are, right? So strains that have grown in the country long before humans, if you will. I find that I'm more drawn towards cultivars that would have grown in areas where my people are from, than I would something else. So, like, for the first time in Canada Reps course, I actually learned what a Kush is. You know, like, I learned Kush it's a place, you know, in the Kush Valley. Like, I didn't know that for the longest time. So all the people telling me about Kush, now I'm like, all right, motherfuckers. Like, if you actually don't know where it's from, then I don't believe you. But, like, I learned, just like, for me, hazes growing in warm climates, me being, you know, more from that area, I appeal more to them. Yeah. I definitely like a haze, but say, like, again, an Afghan, like that, just like that certain smell, terpene profile, it doesn't appeal to me. But the hazes just, like, hit me different. Yeah. And I just think that if I was 200 years ago, say 500 years ago, I'd probably be puffing on a haze. So I feel it just hits my body differently. Whereas I love a Kush. I love a good Kush, but I only smoke that once a day. Personally, for me, if I smoke it,
is there a terp you try to avoid?
Before, I would say I wasn't really big on, like, linalool or anything, any of the, like, floral notes or terps. I didn't really enjoy, but I've been learning so much about combinations and understanding, again, with my nose, that there's things that I've been like, I would never touch that. Yeah. And then I smell it and I'm like, what? That just, like, mind fucks me.
Yeah, bro.
You know, and that animal, I think it was Animal Style I was telling you about, that had this, like, earthy mushroom. I would never ever take that. Anytime I see GMO, I'm like, earthy mushroom, or like meat breath. When I read the description, it was like rotting flesh, and I'm like, what the fuck? But then when you get really good quality things, it's like, wow, I never thought that I would enjoy linalool with a bit of limonene, but then like heavy terpenoline or something like that. So that's what I'm like. I won't say no to anything. I'm always trying to get into it. I would just love more consistency, because as soon as I find something I love and I'm like every day, all day, just bring it to me, it comes and then it goes.
You want it to be that same thing every time. Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. And again, I get bored easily, so I definitely know that I can 7 days a week. I would have 7 to 14 different things. I could definitely switch it up. But it's like I said, when you find something good, there's just something that's just like your go-to, and you're like, I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing this, but I can go with this. That was the mango sour for me.
Okay,
like East Can's mango sour, like
top of the line, man. It smells like it's a mango about 10 days away from being ready to.
It honestly smelled like it was ready to be eaten.
It was ready to be eaten.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
depends on when you want to eat your mango. I guess I like mine a little bit more ripe. You know.
No, that's true. They did a fantastic job, and like when you find something like that quality, that's not a crazy price. Come on, that's a winner. That's what we should be focusing on. Yeah, like, man. I didn't give a shit what the THC was on that. Like, erase it for me. Just tell me the terpenes in there, and when you're coming out with ounces, like that's what I want to know.
Bro, even when we do our reviews, I always like don't mention THC, like total THC.
Yeah,
I know Parm does for people that like care, but I always I just kind of just skip over it because it's not relevant to me.
Yeah.
So
it's true. Yeah. I know some people are about it because maybe I can understand if you're like trying to start out and learning.
Yeah.
And maybe you're like, I don't want to go past like 20% or some shit like that. But everything's like 30, 40 these days. Hey, check out.
You can't even get that high and it makes me mad.
Like, I know, because it's not real.
Bro.
It's not real. No, like, and I feel like if you're looking for something that's like 50, like anywhere from 30 to 50% THC, you probably shouldn't be consuming cannabis.
Yeah, you need to move on to harder drugs.
Yeah.
You need something else.
Yeah,
cannabis is not for you.
At that point, go to dabs, bro.
Yeah,
like,
100%. Just dab, 100%. You know, and I'd laugh because when we'd be in the stores, people come in and be like, "Hi, I just want the highest THC you have," and I got to the point I felt bad because I was trying not to laugh at people, but I'm like, stop. Just stop. It's when they're rude. That's the worst. Like, shut up. I just want the highest THC you have, and I'm like, oh. Do you walk into the LCBO liquor store? Just give me the highest alcohol content you have in here. I don't care what it is. Vodka, rum, just the highest alcohol content. You just go to Shoppers. Like they have like what? 99 proof? Like
just swallow the ISO jug.
Just take the ISO, man. No one does that. So no, I definitely did enjoy that. Like I said, it's always good to meet good people who want to have a good conversation. But yeah, it was the people who were just like rude and treating you a certain way. Like, I know cannabis, and you know, I smoke the highest THCs ever.
Trust me,
I know what I'm talking about. So can I have some shred, please?
The amount of times people come in, and I offer them like a decent, like a 3.5 or something. They're like, "No, I only smoke flowers at 30% or higher." I'm like, "Bro, or do you? What are you saying right now?"
No, you don't. Yeah, bring it, prove it. Yeah, I always get that. So. Yeah, I don't miss that about the store, I have to say. Just because, again, if people were they were listening and they were understanding of it, I'd be totally cool. But I think it was just like, it got too much about the THC. Yeah. And it seems so counterproductive that we're in the stores, yourself right now, being like, you tell people about THC, but you're trying to educate that it's not about THC. Mm-hmm. But then they go on OCS and they have a category. The highest THCs. Why? You're OCS. You should be promoting proper consumption. You should be promoting promoting terpenes better and saying, okay, these brands, not just like, oh yeah, just take it. Well, that's what the market is. That's what the market's doing. The market's doing whatever the fuck we tell the market to do in that sense. Like, we are the market.
Yeah, man.
That's why I think about it, right?
Yeah.
We're the ones putting up Reddit reviews. We're the ones that's like, I went to store and I learned, like, Parma's one told me about this. And like, that's really what changes the conversation. So again, I think it circles back to like having these moments, you guys having your podcasts and, your reviews, like that's so important to have in our culture. More, it should be promoted more. Companies should be paying you guys, not paying you to like promote it, but it should be like, well, these guys are doing a good thing. There should be, you're almost like media. Yeah. That's how I think of it. So it's like, don't want to sway the conversation. I think you guys are very honest with your reviews and how you try stuff, but support that. Support it because you want to. And that's the thing. Like, I want to see you guys win no matter what. This could be a bomb. People, maybe no one watches this. I'm sorry. But I really do think that it's important to promote this. I'm going to still post it up. And
Appreciate that.
that's how these conversations go. Because at one day, again, we're all going to be sitting around and it's going to be like, we're going to have real people there, you know? Snoop's going to be at a dinner. You know what I'm saying? Al Harrington, Viola. Shout out to, I'm manifesting that. That's going to be happening. You know what I'm saying?
Get all
And
these guys.
when we're sitting there chilling and you're able to have this podcast, everybody's going to be like, shit. Why didn't I support that more? Why didn't I get involved? That's when they jump on your D. But, you know, it's good to do, you know, again, to support each other and do this right now. For sure.
Man.
I'm still mad that Weed Me has a 30% brand out there. Like, they have like a pre-milled or whatever that's 30% plus, and there's another one called 20% plus. It's like, bro, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
Like,
bro.
how do you make sure something tests at 30+%?
You pay off somebody, obviously. Like, that just, and I just don't understand the marketing behind doing something like that. And again,
I get it, because that's where a lot of people are at right now. Like, they just care about that number, which is dumb, but, you know, they'll get to our point eventually, I believe.
I think you could take other approaches. Like, I have to, like, big shout out to Jordan Brooks, J-Bro, from Divvy, when he was a Divvy. I really respect a lot of stuff that Divvy's doing. I know they do talk about THC and stuff like that too, here and there, right? But I feel that they're bringing a different approach to it, you know? Shout out to Solo. Like, they bring people out to the farm. You know, you can see where they do their stuff, having people at the tours. They really do care. They'll listen. They do bring you products. They have outdoor grows. Like, I was never really into outdoor weed, but I've seen the stuff they're growing. When you bring a culture to it and a feeling, I think you can go further than just saying we have the highest THC. No one's ever going to remember you. No one's ever going to remember, oh man, remember that brand that had the highest THC?
Yeah, we do remember. And
It's not in a good way.
And it's not.
Maybe
Yeah.
in that case, okay. I don't. I always hear people say that. I'm like,
Nah, dude. There's been a couple of people that have just been outright like lying with their numbers, right? And it's
it
been
was
proven.
a
So,
brand called Celebrity. They had something called the Raptor Runs or something like that.
you hear about this, Jay?
no,
It came at
just the
40%.
name already.
Yeah, it came at 40%, right? Now, I think it was, who was it again? They retested it. And,
I don't know. It was probably high noise. Somebody out here, man.
and it came down to 28%. But here's the best part about that whole situation. If you tag them in anything, whether it was them getting exposed or promoting them, whatever, they reposted everything. So on their story was people calling them out like, yo, this isn't even 40%, this and that. And they were just reposting it.
Oh my god,
Crazy stuff going on.
Yeah,
man,
I've never
that's what we
heard
need
those
though.
guys.
Some transparency for real.
Oh, 100%. And I think it comes from people asking for it. Again, as more of these conversations come out, more people be like, well, we want to know, how did you do that? Like, when was this cut? When was it, you know, how long did it cure for? Those are things I care about, because I honestly don't care. Like, I'm not the person to be like, oh, it was cut last year, because I've had stuff from somebody like Reef that was over a year old in my store. And I smoked that compared to something that came out literally the same month. And the Reef stuff was fantastic. Still fresh, still smoked great. It wasn't just full of CPN. I didn't sleep.
Shout out to Reef, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
Doing some
definitely
great stuff out there.
Quality stuff.
Great operation.
And that's what it comes down to. You need to have, it has to be, it's the curing process that I think a lot of people just rush. And I don't care. Take as long as you need to cure it. If it comes out fire, I'll be happy to wait that long, right? People want that sort of, I mean, I believe people would want that sort of like, I miss that, what do you call it? That energy of, you know, like, remember like when a new game dropped and I'll be like at midnight or some shit like that, and you're waiting in line, or like Boxing Day, like you're like, oh man, like this is coming, and if you don't get it, you're not getting it. Like, you're gonna hear about it. That sort of energy, I don't always love. Like, in certain cases, you're like, I don't want that anxiety, but in other cases, you're like, yo, I just got this, right? Like, how amazing that is. People do it with shoes, they do it with so much. So
nice.
It should be that way with cannabis. Like, you guys saw my stash. Like, one day I'm gonna be like, yo, check out what I got. You know, like, no one's got these. These are proper. we need to have that. I think people need to have that sort of excitement.
Yeah.
It just creates this healthy competition too, as opposed to like, oh, we got the newest 30%. Oh, look at us, we got the newest 30% too. Hey, look at us, we busted up ours, and it's sawdust. Oh, look at our new sawdust. Like everybody's like, oh, our sawdust is 30%. Well, we made one that was 50. Well, ours has real wood in it. Cool. You know, like, yeah. So,
What's your favorite way to consume, man?
definitely, I would say it depends on what mood I'm in. If it's a consistent basis, I'm a bong guy, just because I mentioned this before. I come from the time of like not having much. Like maybe I can only afford a G. Or 3.5, that's gotta last like a month. So
Damn.
yeah, so I gotta make it in small little amounts. So I definitely would do bong, but in the summertime, it's nice to roll and go for a walk and
Bro,
be outside.
trust me.
And take in like the nature around you, that sort of vibe. But then there's times where I'm just like, I personally, as an experienced person, I'm like, I just want to feel it. I want to be hit more. I have more flavor, and I want to be more clean and not feel that tightness in my chest, so that I'm like in dabs. And yeah, so it's different. Yeah, very, very different.
That's proper. That makes sense. I mean, different consumption way for a different activity or different occasion.
Yeah, of course.
proper.
Yeah, I mix it up for sure. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to like just munch on when you get the munchies? Like being a chef.
Being a chef, the best munchies are something easy. I don't like. If you talk to any real chef, they don't cook, man. Like, you don't want to cook. You cook for people all
cook all
day.
the time.
You want you want somebody to cook for you when you're done. So, probably. Ooh, I don't know. Favorite thing to munch. It might be that chicken, to be honest with you. That popcorn
that chicken was crazy.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Family recipe, like some crazy shit. Bro, like I bit into that and it was so tender inside still. Like, fuck, how long was that frozen for, bro?
Man, at least a couple months. So yeah, it's vacuum sealed. You gotta keep that stuff fresh. Like I said, it's amazing. So I do like that when I have it on deck. That takes some time to cook, and I make it, and I end up eating it too fast. So I like, shit, I gotta make that stuff again. It's like 2 days of prep. But no, I like that. I love pizza too. Okay. Pizza's like a quick little go-tos. Victoria Pizza in Guelph. If you're in Guelph, Victoria's Pizza. Okay. We're going to that place since high school. Okay?
Nice, man.
That is the spot.
Yeah, no, they have one in Fergus too. I used to work at the Rogers up there, bro. I used to go there for every lunch. It was great.
Yeah, I am a big Victoria's Pizza fan. And then like I like candy too. I'm trying to get away from it though, just because it ain't good for you. But I love candy, man. Like growing up, I had like a sweet jaw. I was just all about candy.
Feel you, bro.
What's your favorite one though?
I'm about sour candies.
Okay, yeah, I feel that.
Sour candies is good. I like the zing. And again, it's weird, but it kind of plays back into like the limonene. I like that very like citrusy. I like citrus notes and flavor. It just, it's my vibe for sure. So yeah.
I used to get warheads all the time. I fuck up my mouth.
No, definitely. How about you guys?
Honestly, man, I'll be pretty I guess extensive with my munchies. I don't really have one thing that I go to. Yeah, I like switching it up. I like the exclusives, the exotics.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that too.
Popcorn is pretty good though, yo. Yeah. Popcorn, like low calories, pretty much no calories. You just go munch popcorn, a ball of that shit, and you're good, man.
Man, I do love popcorn. Like, and even go back to the candy thing. When at Colonel's, they have like a Super Kid popcorn, the one covered in candy. Bro, that's my go-to. I'm like, so yeah, I just can't get into like. I love healthy stuff, but sweet and sour just gets me sometimes.
I feel you on that. What do you think the world needs more of?
Sounding corny, I think the world definitely needs more love. And that's like love in the purest form is so simple and basic. Like you don't have to know much. You don't have to be an intelligent person to love. Like love is kindness. It's respect. That's all love. And I know that the world needs more of that, because that hatefulness, that evilness, that backstabbing energy, that selfish. Oh, I need to get to the top. I don't need anybody around me. I'm not doing it for anybody else but myself vibe. I think it's played off too much now. And I think there's more people in the world that are lonely and feel alone, that if we had more love to show one another, like, it could be just even a bit more better of a place of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's simple to be kind to people. I personally would say I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm somewhat social, but like, when it comes to love, I show love to everybody. I don't care where you come from. I don't care your background. I know what it's like, and like growing up, especially in Guelph, like, I've been black my whole life, so I know what it's like for people to like hate on me and treat me a certain way and not show me love. And I never want anybody to feel like that. So I think me showing love to people comes so easy. But I think on the flip side, like don't do me wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a day and night side, you know, like, day's good, but when it's night, it gets dark. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you ask those people in the kitchen, man, they'll tell you.
yeah, exactly. I don't play.
Nah, but for real though, man, you're right, man. It definitely needs more love for sure. And I think that's even a touch of love, man. That's what we try to do, man. Just you know, everything can use a little bit more love. Just simple things, man. Like you said, just little things can go a long way into making everybody's day more like just better.
For sure, man. For sure. You never know what people are going through. And that's the main thing. Like, somebody could be on their last little bits of something, you know what I'm saying? Or like the last time you speak to somebody, or make them feel like, I don't know. It's such a simple thing. And I obviously a great thing, the raw touch of love, but like, that's what y'all are doing, right? And that's what we try to inspire to do a higher learning.
What you do, like, I mean, cooking food and giving it to people, man, that's the biggest form of love.
Absolutely.
That's literally giving the person life.
Absolutely. And it's such a basic thing. Like, everybody should have access to food, you know? Like, we're not in any means, like, at the level to feed the world yet. But, like, for me, that's what would be nice to have, almost like the McDonald's style of, you know, business where you're everywhere in the world, but where people can come in at any time, day or night, and just get food. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to be infused food, but like, people shouldn't be without food. We shouldn't be like taking food away from people. And, you know, what we try to do, even at High Learning, and when we're cooking, is like cook sustainable food. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not giving you stuff from Australia and stuff from over here and all that stuff. Like, it's cool. That's great. And I know fancy chefs will do that, but like, if stuff goes sour, you know, look what happened during COVID, where stuff just wasn't being shipped and stuff like that. You have to be sustainable of space, you know what I mean? Like, I also have to make note that, you know, Guelph's situated on indigenous land, you know, and that's a big thing for us too. We want to give respect back to the indigenous peoples that came before us, and like learn what they were eating, how they came about, how they survived, you know, especially in places like even Fergus. I know that area was founded by like Black people, you know. There's a lot of different people that aren't in these spaces anymore, but I feel it's important to go back to that, learn about it, and that we can all eat and benefit, right? Like, there's enough for everybody. So
100%, man. That's 100. Guys, this has been episode number 9. We appreciate you for tuning in as always. Thank you so much. Keep showing some love, positivity. Appreciate Jay for coming on.
Sure.
Man. Shout out any socials that you have.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you can find us at HighR Learning on Instagram. That's HighR, HighR Learning.
You guys having the whole thing because of shadow banned? Just
Shadow ban is real. Yeah, literally. I remember, like, speaking of that, like 2 days before our event, I remember like we got like lost access to all of our Instagram and stuff like that. Like, it's a hell of a time trying to get that stuff back. But yeah, you can find us at HighR Learning. Email realhighRlearning@gmail.com. Website's coming soon. Check us out on Instagram. I mean, if anybody needs to, they can obviously reach out to you guys too. But you'll hear about us more. We got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. Just we're in planning stages. It's
bro, super exciting, guys. These guys are doing some real good stuff out here. and we can't wait to see what they do with this whole thing, man. Let's fucking go.
Amazing. Thank you for having me. Shout out to my team, everybody.
Everybody involved. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Yeah.
I know sometimes they get hard. Yeah.